Hi guys, thanks so much for watching The Social Life, the place to be for entrepreneurs with a purpose. So I am still in Las Vegas recording another video for you guys. And today I just wanted to talk to you about a question that I got from Veronica. And she was asking about whether it's okay to advertise for new board members. And I do have a mixed feeling about this question. So basically, I always think that you should ask your board members in person. I definitely think that's the right way to go about it if you can do that. I realize that sometimes you don't know the right people, or sometimes you've exhausted your whole circle of people who may want to actually sign up and be part of your board. But if you're in those positions and you still need a board and you just want to advertise for those board members and then maybe interview or see if you can find some good talent that can be on your board that can provide something that maybe you really need and you don't have access to finding on your own, then I'm going to leave you with 5 tips today that will help you do just that. You must know exactly what you want and need for your board. So if you're looking for someone with accounting experience, or you're looking for someone with some sort of experience in a specific area, it's a good thing to have written down. You can write down a wish list of what you want. So write down everything that you were looking for your board, like what would be the absolute best board member. And then you write down the traits that you'd want, the kind of involvement you'd want them to have, everything that you could think of that you want in a board member. And then you tailor that and make it look really nice. So tip number 1 is you can certainly advertise on advertise for your board on volunteer sites. I think that'd probably be the best place to look for board members, because those people have generally filled out some sort of information and filled out some sort of questionnaire about what they're looking for as well. And so it's more of like a match for your organization rather than just going out there and putting it on Craigslist and looking for anyone and everyone to be part of your board. So when you go onto these volunteer matching sites, generally they have filled out something like, hey, I'm looking to be a secretary, or I'm looking to be, part of a board that works with youth, or anything like that. And you can find and vet people on your own through that, and you can reach out to them. And if it doesn't work out, or they're not looking to be part of a board, they just want to volunteer, you can also use them for that. But I think that's probably the number one best resource that you could use if you're looking for a for your board of directors, but not necessarily like wanting to use Craigslist or just some random site that anyone can sign up for and they haven't really been vetted. So I would start with a volunteer matching site. Number 2 is, if you have been following any of my advice on this channel, you would have a newsletter. Even if you are not able to write in your newsletter very often, when you meet people who are interested in your organization in any way possible, grab that information and put them into your newsletter. And then at times like this, when you're looking for new board members, you can go onto your newsletter and post that you're looking for a board member and the types of qualities that you're looking for, the types of expertise you're looking for, and even ask people who are on your newsletter if they know of anyone who might be interested in filling this position as a board of director on your nonprofit. So you can also look at recipients. If you have clients or recipients of your program, like we have parents in our program, and the kids actually are the ones who are receiving the opportunities. But if you have recipients of your program, you can also talk to them and see if maybe they're interested in volunteering. I've had people from my program volunteer for Launchpad and volunteer their time, or anything I really needed. They were like, yeah, we're happy to volunteer. So if you have someone like that in your recipient pool, you can also use them and work from there and train them how to become part of your advisory board or board of directors. Create those advisory roles. Now, you heard me talk about an advisory board, and in Veronica's question, she mentioned an advisory board. Sometimes you will get people who are interested in being a board member, but they don't have the time, or they won't be able to commit the way you'd like them to. And it's always good to never let people leave your board. Like, if they're interested in your board, never let them leave that circle, because people have really good advice to give you. So if you're able to, you can have an advisory board and put those people on that advisory board that maybe meets, once or twice a year or something. And maybe you speak to your board of directors about final decisions that you came up with your advisory board, or maybe it's just an advisory group that you can call on to ask questions that you might be just personally thinking of, to expand your organization and you're not sure if this is something you should bring to the board or not. You can talk to your advisory group first, and then you can bring any decisions that you've kind of, worked through or are still grappling with. You can bring those to your board of directors and then talk to them about that final decision, and you guys can bring that all up rather than using your board of directors to sometimes work through decisions, which it is great if you have a board that's set up that way. My board is set up that way where I can call on that board and ask any questions that I have about any sort of changes in the organization, or if I'm coming up with any sort of problems or roadblocks or anything like that. I think that's the setup of a really incredible board. And I think, if you're lucky to have a board like that, obviously you should be very grateful and thankful for that. But yes, you can always set people into an advisory role, like if you want to maybe groom them for your board of directors later, or they aren't sure they can commit to a board of directors, but they'd love to give their input and advice, and you need an actual role for them. That's a good place for people who want to be part of your organization and part of the guiding piece of your organization. An advisory board is a great place to start. So, while you're interviewing these people that you get off the site or that you get from the newsletter, you can actually be putting them into different roles as well. And then you'll also start to see in your board of directors where you're having some weak points, like maybe you need someone who, works in the school system, or you need someone who can advise you on how to get into city agencies, or whatever your program needs. Then you will be using that to find your board of directors, because that's where your board can actually help you. They can't always, like maybe you need someone who's in the legal field. They can't necessarily guide you in the legal field sometimes, like depending on what their job is. I know we have someone on our board like that too. They can give advice, but they cannot provide true legal advice for your specific organization or for your specific issue. But it is always good to have, some sort of legal counsel on your board of directors. Just even if it's just for, simple advice on what does this mean, or how should I look at this, or are there any legal ramifications for doing X, Y, and Z? So that's why I said have a wish list, because my tip number 5 is to create that wish list. Make it so that it's very clear and people could read it and understand what you're looking for. And then post that on your website, because part of your social media could be that you're sending out, we're always looking for, new members of our board of directors. If you're interested in participating in our organization, or you'd like to support our organization, please go to our support page, and then you can direct them to that support page. But on that support page, they have all the ways that they can support, in addition to how they can become a board member and what you're looking for in a board member. So that way it kind of advertises for you and allows people a place to come look when they're looking for the position of a board member. And you just do this one time, and then you don't have to do it anymore. You can just leave it up there. And so I think this is a great last tip, because it allows you to always be looking, and it allows people to always have the ability to find a place in your organization. And if they're willing to take on the responsibilities of a board member, they can go onto that page and they can see if the board is something that they'd actually like to do. So those are just 5 quick tips on how to recruit board members and whether or not you should advertise. And if you're going to advertise for board members, these are 5 ways that I can tell you that I would actually be comfortable with advertising, as opposed to, Craigslist, or just putting out a blasting post of, what to do or what you need, say on Facebook or something, or somewhere where you might not get candidates that you actually really want. Lastly, I would also say that it's a good idea, and this is actually how I found most of my board members. I created a 20-minute presentation on my organization when I first started. I invited people that I had been talking to about the organization, that I had received input from, or that I trusted, friends, family. I invited them all to this presentation, and it was about 20 minutes. And I just really took that time to show them what the organization was all about, why I've started it, how I think they could get involved, and if anyone was interested, I left this at the very end, if anyone was interested in becoming a board member, then please sign up here or leave me your name and number and whatever. And then I followed up and contacted them. And once I realized that I was going to have a small board, because that was what was recommended to me to start out with, I kept it small. I chose 4 other people, and we have a board of 5 now, which we've kept for the last 3 years. And I feel like that's a sweet spot for our organization. And we staggered the terms, and everybody has stayed on, so we haven't really had to change any board members. And for a startup, I think that's great, so that you don't have a lot of turnover, and everybody's on the same page, and putting in new, fresh ideas and things like that. So yeah, really, I think that if you use one of these 5 ways, and now this 6th one of finding your board members, I think you'll be better off in the long run if you're not able to actually talk to those people in person and ask them to be part of your board. So if you need to find multiple ways of finding board members, these are just 5 that I would personally recommend, outside of speaking to someone directly or having someone recommended to your board of directors. So anyway, I hope that helped you, Veronica, and I will see you all on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and get out there and unleash your something amazing. I'll see you soon.